Not everybody has had a chance to read your statement. Explain to us why AT&T is out and Apple is in.
Well, I think the first thing to say is that Apple was an obvious choice for the Dow. It's the largest company, period. It is a strong, leading technology company, widely known, widely respected. If anything, we're probably getting comments over the last few years why it wasn't in the Dow. And second, it's a matter of timing. Apple, until last June, had a stock price north of $700. The way the Dow was calculated, the price matters. The prices can't be too far apart. $700 would have distorted the whole index. And then it's just a matter of looking at the timing. Visa, another technology company, currently in the Dow, with a price of around $280 a share or thereabouts, is splitting its stock 4 for 1. And that means that funds tracking the Dow, when they get those 4 shares for each current Visa share they own, they will sell 3 of them. And that will shrink the technology weight in the index and bring it down to a number that's far too low for technology. Adding Apple puts the balance back. And that's really the reason why we did it. Choosing AT&T, removing any of those 30 stocks is always a puzzle and always a difficult choice. But as we looked at it, AT&T and Verizon, very similar companies, both in the Dow. If anything, telecommunications was somewhat overrepresented by having them both there. AT&T is slightly smaller, has a lower stock price, and those 2 items suggested that AT&T would come out. It has nothing to do with the price performance of AT&T or any other stock. Our choices in or out are not investment recommendations. They're chosen strictly to make sure the index represents the market, has the right balance.
But because AT&T is out, we should feel confident that Verizon won't be replaced because you want to have a telecommunications representation there.
We want to have every sector properly represented, but we have an absolute firm rule. We don't speculate on what we might do until we announce it publicly and we do it. So whether it's in there for a day, a week, a month, a year, or a century, I haven't the foggiest idea.
David, telecommunications clearly now will have a lower weighting in the Dow. Technology will have a very substantial weighting in the Dow in terms of the names. So in addition to Apple, obviously, there's IBM, Intel, Cisco, Microsoft. Visa is a stock that you treat as a technology name to a degree as well. Is that overrepresentation for technology?
No, I don't think it is. What we look at, we look at the technology stocks in the Dow. We look at both their impact on the index, which is really a proportion of their prices. We also look at their market value. We compare that to the S&P 500, which is the key professional institutional measure of the U.S. markets. We compare it to the markets overall. And when I say overall, every stock out there down to one as small as $10 million, which is really tiny. And we see the balance of technology stocks, healthcare, consumer staples, consumer discretionary, so on and so forth across all the sectors. And we try and get a reasonable balance. We never hit it exactly on the nose. We're only working with 30 stocks, and clearly some are very big compared to others.
David, you said it yourself. The S&P 500 is the key institutional measure of the U.S. stock market. Today, 2015, what's the value of a price-weighted index?
The first 2 things that stand out is, one, the history goes back to 1896. And if we haven't learned anything else about the market, it does strange things from time to time.
Since 1896?
The more you know, the better you are. The longer the data series, the better chance you have of figuring out what's going on. So that long history is very valuable. The Dow, because it's been there for so long, because it has the support of the Wall Street Journal over its entire history, including now, is very well known, very widely respected. I've never had a company say they don't want to be in the Dow, or don't want to even be, that they don't want to be considered for the Dow. And the fact that we're talking this morning suggests a lot of people pay attention to the Dow Jones Industrial Average.